Hello, Alaska. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to come to you from time to time with a direct information coming out of the governor's office as to what's happening in Alaska and what's happening here in government. And there's a number of things that happened this week. As we know, the fires at Swan Lake on the Kenai Peninsula, two fires up on the Parks Highway, the McKinley fire and the Deshka fire are still burning. Obviously, when you look out the window, you can smell it, you can see it, that the fire is impacting South Central Alaska. We have a lot of resources deployed to put these fires out, contain these fires. There's also fire in Southwest Alaska near the small community of Levelock that we also have resources on. But we're going to continue to monitor these fires. We're going to continue to work at containing these fires and putting these fires out. When you go camping or hunting or fishing, please keep in mind that it's been very dry in South Central Alaska all summer long, and there is a high fire danger. So please do your part as well to be safe and keep Alaska safe. Something else that's happened this week was that the Secretary of Education from the U.S. Department of Education, Betsy DeVos, came to Alaska and spent several days here in Alaska touring both large schools in urban Alaska and small schools in rural Alaska. Took a look at a number of different ways in which we deliver education in Alaska. The Secretary also discussed her ideas on education, including a tax credit scholarship concept for the nation that would go to individual students, potentially parents and other organizations to help education. The Attorney General also came out this week with an opinion on a Supreme Court ruling that occurred last June 2018 called Janus. And what this court case was all about is basically the Supreme Court said that public employees' First Amendment rights could not be infringed upon. So in other words, they would have the choice as to whether they want to join a public employee union and pay dues or not. The Attorney General came out with an opinion saying that we, as the state of Alaska, have to comply with the Supreme Court ruling. We're taking a look at that opinion, and we'll be coming out with our own guidelines here shortly on this Supreme Court ruling on the court case Janus. Another piece of information, big news for Alaska, is the announcement that British Petroleum, BP, who's been in Alaska doing business for over 60 years in oil and gas, has announced that they are selling their assets to the Hilcorp Corporation. We're going to watch this process very closely, this sale very closely, to make sure that it's in the best interest of Alaska and Alaskans. And we'll keep you up to date as to the various steps and what we find as we go through this process with this sale by BP to Hilcorp. There was also a bill signing this week, SB 83, a telecom bill. This was the last bill put forward by Senator Birch, who, as we know, passed away a few weeks ago. This bill modernizes our telecommunication industry, takes us out of the landline age into the digital and cell phone age. I think it's going to be good for Alaska. It's going to be good for Alaskans. And then finally, we made an appointment today to State's Senate District M, which was Senator Birch's seat. Since his passing, we've now had to find a qualified individual to fill that seat. And a large number of folks showed interest. The District M, made up of Republican officials, Senator Birch was a Republican, and the process calls for that district to send forth to me some names to consider. They sent the names of Albert Fogel, Dave Dunleavy, and Laddie Shaw, all great candidates for this position. I made the decision and the selection to put Laddie Shaw's name forward, Representative Laddie Shaw. And the Senate will now consider that name. They will vote on Laddie Shaw to see if they wish to seat him, which I hope they do, as senator for Senate District M. And just want to remind Alaskans once again, be very careful out there. It's very dry. We'll get back to you probably in a week or so with more news as to what's happening here in the state and in the governor's office, and we'll follow up on some of these items we just discussed. With that, have a great day.